RAGT 22 with some of the absolutely amazing authors that are here. Not all of them, but some of them. And I'm going to let them introduce themselves as we go around, and we'll start with Miss Brenda down here.
Okay, I'm Brenda Novak. I write contemporary romance. I do women's fiction. I've done some historicals. I do some romantic suspense. So sort of a writer of all trades, and I'm really excited to be here. It's my first time.
Awesome.
So I'm sure that I'll enjoy it.
I'm RaeAnne Thayne. It's my first time as well, and I write women's fiction, small town, and contemporary romance.
All these virgins. I'm Jill Shalvis. I write some weird combination hybrid of romance, rom-com, and women's fiction, and no one knows what that should be called, so it's everything.
No, I'm
She's
good.
mic'd.
I'm Sylvia. I write everything. Urban fantasy, science fiction, futuristics, contemporary romance, historical romance. If it's out there, I write it.
Amazing. And then I got to follow that and say, all right, contemporary romance. I'm Lori Foster. That's all I write is contemporary romance.
That's it.
Yep.
Bless your heart.
That's me.
To sell that many books and just contemporary romance.
Just all contemporary.
Okay, I'm Carolyn Brown. I have written historical romance. Today I usually just been writing cowboy romance and women's fiction. I've done a little bit of everything, contemporary, small town. If the editor says, I will buy this book, then I say, I will write this book.
Oh, I love that. I'm Nancy Naigle, and I write small town love stories, both contemporary romance and women's fiction.
I'm gonna make Nancy keep that mic and tell us about her Tootie horse again, because that's hysterical. And those of you who've already heard it, just bear with us.
Lori is so excited. On the cover of my newest book, What Remains True, there's this beautiful Palomino horse running through the field. And I said, oh, that was my horse. And her registered name was Golden Girl, but they called her Tudor. And when I first bought her, I thought it was Tudor, like, a teacher, Tutor. And then they told me, no, it was because she was gassy, and they call her Tudor because she toots the whole time you're riding her. And I said, well, I am not calling her that. And so I got on the horse, and I started riding, and sure enough, riding it, and it just had me so tickled. I was laughing like a little schoolgirl, and I was like, okay, I'm calling her a Tudor. But I've since sold her, and so she's tooting with some other teenagers now.
Hand it to Carolyn. So you were just telling me how you get choices of covers, which I'm so envious of. So explain how that works.
Okay. Usually, especially with Montlake, they send me 5 covers, and I pick out the one I like best. And then we start talking about tweaking it. Because I worked in advertising many years ago, and I will say, well, I really don't like my name in yellow. Can we put my name in white and put the title in red, like this one that I'm giving away today? So, and they're very good. They let me do what I want to. And, hey, as long as they will do that and hand me a contract, I'm signing with them.
I think she's throwing her weight around. I want my name in a different color.
It sounds all sweet, but she throws that blessed
Yeah, she
heart
does. So what about you? How important are covers to you?
Oh, huge.
Yep.
Huge, yes. So, like right now, we've been going through cover art for weeks. Weeks going.
For the upcoming books?
Yes. Yeah. Is this right? Is this not right? I'm not feeling it. Are you feeling it? And then there's so many people's opinions that are coming into play. And sometimes I'll go, oh, I love that. And they'll go, yeah, no, I don't like it because it looks like high school gym socks. And you're like, okay, now I see it, I can't unsee it. So that's got to go, that sort of thing. It's a long process.
Yeah.
It really is.
What about you, Jill? Grab that mic and tell us about your covers.
Oh, I feel blessed. I feel like I've had some really, really great covers. We're working on my next cover now, and it's a winter scene, and the girl is in short sleeves and a beach hat.
Oh, no.
And there's snow and mountains. I'm like, we need to adjust that, don't you think?
Maybe she's just a really hardy person.
I
but,
mean,
She's hot flashing.
she's from
She's
Ontario.
hot flashing, but the readers aren't going to email my editor. They're going to email me.
Right.
So
Yep.
I need it fixed.
Yep. What about you, RaeAnne?
Oh, I love my covers. I have amazing covers, and it seems like every one is my favorite. And then the next one comes along, and that one's my favorite. And
So never any complaints?
Sometimes there are things that I have to say, oh, that doesn't quite work. I remember one time they did a reprint of one of my books that was set in, I want to say, Colorado, and it was clearly the Grand Tetons behind them. And I'm like, I know that doesn't make a difference sometimes for people who don't know the mountains, but people in the West will recognize the Grand Tetons. They're kind of unforgettable, and so they had to change it.
I've had pretty good luck with covers. Probably my worst was one where they sent it to me and they're like, "We love this cover. It's great." And it was for a suspense novel, but it looked like the heroine was running to a UFO and being, alien. It was good. It was purple with like clouds around it, and I'm like, "This looks like a paranormal." So, anyway,
That would be pretty suspenseful.
Once it was kind of that thing where once I said it, they're like, "Now I can see it." So thank goodness they didn't push that, and they completely revamped the cover. And so then I was happy with the final one. But yeah, no, I like most of my covers. I think we struggle a little bit with some of my covers turn out very sweet. My books aren't quite that sweet. They're very middle of the road. And so trying to accurately depict that can be difficult because I write with a lot of conflict. So that's probably our biggest challenge, is trying to represent what I write to the reader accurately without making it too sweet.
Mine was always that my heroes do not have shaved chests. And it would drive me nuts when they would put a slick-chested guy on the cover, and I'd say, just put him in a T-shirt or give him chest hair. One or the other, but I'm not going to write him, that he's waxed his chest in the middle of saving people. So, and that was my one complaint about the Reacher, is that his name?
Yes.
The guy's living out on the road. He stops in Salvation Army to buy a new T-shirt, but his chest is slick smooth. And I'm like, this guy's been stopping and waxing somewhere, So that's always my complaint. So luckily now they usually just put them in shirts for me, so that they're not running around with their smooth chest. Yeah, they don't have to hear me complain about no chest hair. So. Okay, so let's everyone tell what we're working on, and we can start with Brenda this time. So what you're working on, or what will be the next one out?
Okay. I just finished The Seaside Library, which is going to be another book, sort of a book about books. It's a minor role in the story, but again, it has quite a bit of conflict. I love the way it turned out. Super excited about it. It'll be out next April, and then I'm starting a new small town contemporary trilogy. I have one done. I'm on the second one now, which is a lot of fun to write, to kind of be able to go back and forth between the women's fiction and then the romance.
Nice.
I'm working on another book in my Cape Sanctuary series. It still doesn't have a formal title, but the tentative title is The Last Chance Cafe, and so we're working towards that, and I'm enjoying it a lot. And then I have a Christmas book out this year. This one will be out possibly next June. They're still deciding release day on that one, and then I'll start working a Christmas book as soon as I finish that one.
It's always a nightmare for me to tell you what I'm writing on, because I draw a blank and I'm unable to talk about the book I'm actually writing on. It's a weird thing I have.
So I did this on purpose, just to put Jill on the
Just put me on the
spot.
spot. I have the Friendship Pack coming out Tuesday, giving one away here today. And that's the story of two people who met when they were teenagers, fell in love, she blew it. And what happens when you get the miracle a decade later? Do you take a chance again? Do you not take a chance? So it's kind of rom-com, romance, women's fiction. Wish they had a word for that. They don't.
Yeah.
My book that comes out after that is what I'm working on now. The Backup Plan, brand new title. It's the story, thank you, it's the story of three strangers who inherit an inn and then find out that they're not strangers at all.
Oh, that sounds great.
I know, I love the title, The Backup Plan, yeah.
Yeah, I love that. So I'm working on the second book in my 2-book series, which launches next year, which is so close and too far. And it is a women's fiction, contemporary, urban, gothic, domestic suspense, contemporary romance.
I don't have a title for that either.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, exactly. And that's why trying to cover this has been so much fun. But we're having good times with it, and I really love it. I had so much fun writing this book. Multiple perspectives in the story. We have 3 different women telling the story. We have a butler who's kind of the only person whose point of view you can actually trust. And I love it. It's very twisty. It's definitely one of those books where you have to read every single word.
Can't skim.
There's
You'll get lost.
no way. Yeah, you will. Yeah, absolutely.
Sorry, I keep forgetting which arm to cough into. I'm working on the next book from the honeymoon cottage, so set in the same small town. And I don't really, like Jill, can't really think of anything, except Kathleen's in it again, the mannequin, because the mannequin is hilarious. And you should know, I had that mannequin in my house for a while, and she was in a closet. And every time I'd open that damn closet, I would jump a foot thinking Kathleen was going to get me. So I'm glad to have her here now. She's not in my closet right now. But, she's just like a funny character that the town dresses up and puts in different positions and surprises people and has fun with. But it'll be other characters that were introduced in the honeymoon cottage. But they don't really tie closely together because the two people in the honeymoon cottage are on their honeymoon. So they're not even in it.
Okay. I'm working on The Lucky Shamrock, set in Shamrock, Texas on Route 66. Flower shop. 3 cousins come to help Granny out because she's got to help the friend out because the friend broke her hip. I love to write about old women. I just love old women. I think they're the most fun things in the whole world. So that's what I'm working on. But what is coming out next Tuesday is called Riverbend Reunion. It is a book about 4 friends who graduated from high school at the same time and come back to Riverbend, Texas, and one of them has inherited the building, an old church. So they decide to turn that church into a bar.
Oh, fun.
Yeah.
That's
So
a twist.
That's a good twist. And then there are one of their mother-in-laws and one of their grandmothers are very, very religious, so they're against it, and they're out in the parking lot telling they're going to go to hell and all this stuff. But anyway, it was a really, really fun book to write. I got the inspiration for the book when I was invited to the Bentonville Film Festival for them to wine and dine me and never do anything about it.
But you got wine and dine, so
I got wined and dined at an old church that was turned into a speakeasy and a restaurant, and they called it the Preacher's Son, and I just thought that was pretty cute.
That is.
So that's where I got the inspiration for the one coming out next Tuesday.
Awesome.
Okay, so the one that I just turned in is called And Then There Was You. And that comes out next year. And my heroine has been conned out of everything. She comes home after a vacation, and the guy she thought she bought an investment house with, well, it really was a rental. He scammed her out of her money, all her stuff, and the good-looking detective who helps her kind of solve the issue is part of that story. So that'll be out next year. But in December, The Wedding Ranch comes out. And The Wedding Ranch is a venue, and all these little things happen at the venue that bring different people into the town, and a beautiful story between the rancher who owns the property where the venue is and a new gal in town. So,
Well, keep the mic.
Okay.
Because readers always ask, I'm sure if I asked the audience, they would say, favorite book of your own? I know these are horribly hard questions. Favorite cover, favorite character?
Okay. Favorite book of my own is definitely The Shell Collector. Book of my heart, echoes a lot of navigating grief, after losing my husband and making it to the other side and finding joy in life. So that is definitely my favorite book. Favorite cover, Life After Perfect. It's, a woman kind of walking through this rocky stream and lots of colors like orange and stuff in the cover is just, I love that cover. I'd like to live there in that little stream. Yeah. And then my favorite character, I'm going to say Cody Tuggle. He was in Out of Focus. He was a country western singer, so handsome, kind of a bad boy, I don't know, Toby Keithish kind of guy. Yeah, I could run away with him. I still love him.
You and your tooting horse could leave.
I know. And he makes a little cameo in The Wedding Ranch, so I had to bring him back. So I must love him the best.
Yeah, that's nice.
I think my favorite book is Hummingbird by Laverne Spencer.
Oh, I want one of your own, though, of yours.
Oh, one of my favorite books.
Yeah, she had her answer already, and I threw her off.
Super easy to answer.
She was thinking you were just all stuck on yourself down that trail.
Oh, you want my favorite book? Okay, I think probably my very favorite book is The Ladies' Room because it sold the most books.
There you go. That always helps, yeah.
Well, when they get up close to 600,000 books sold, then you love that book.
That's right, yeah.
But my favorite cover is one that's coming in November called The Sandcastle Hurricane. It's a gorgeous cover. Like she said, it's got some oranges in it, and it's like a sunset on a beach with a sandcastle and a lady walking away in a big, beautiful white floppy hat. It's so pretty.
Favorite character.
Favorite character. All my favorite characters. Agnes. Agnes in the Cadillac series. Yes, I hear a yes back here. My daughter called me when she read the third book. She says, if you ever kill Agnes, I will disown you.
Yeah.
So, but I probably won't write any more Agnes books. But anyway, that's my favorite character.
Nice. Let's see. My favorite cover has to be When You Dare, because that's what readers always say is their favorite. Hairy-chested guy. In a wonderfully hairy-chested way. And Jamie from the book Jamie is my favorite character. He's a remote viewer, so he always knew what was going to happen before it happened and was a recluse because of it. But little by little, the whole town grows to love him, and he can't be a recluse anymore because he's always helping people. And I think, what was the other question we had?
Character, right?
Character.
Story cover character.
See, this is, I told you, you are so professional. She's so good at this, such a good businesswoman. No, I said Jamie was my favorite character. When You Dare was a favorite cover, and I don't remember what else.
Favorite book.
She's like, I was hoping not to have to pick a favorite.
Yeah, I was trying to just pass it on, and Nancy had to throw the question. I'll just say When You Dare, because that was a fun one.
All right.
All my waffling gave you more time to think about it.
Yeah, I would say my favorite book of mine is probably In the Flesh. And my favorite character would be a tie between the hero from In the Flesh, which was Wulfric, and Gideon Cross from the Crossfire series. And my favorite cover is, I think, going to be the one that we put on the U.S. edition of So Close.
Ooh.
I haven't seen the UK edition yet. The publisher is going to show that to me on Tuesday. So hopefully I love that one as much as I love the U.S.
When will you show the cover to all your fans?
When the pre-order's available.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not
we
until then,
try
okay.
not to show the cover until the pre-order's up, because otherwise they're just like, great cover. How do I buy the book?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but we hold on to that and wait until they launch, and then we go, here's the cover, and there's where you can go buy the book.
Gotcha. I know, it's your turn, Jill. You're up.
Sorry. I think my favorite cover is Lemon Sisters. We
Yes!
talked about that
Yeah,
earlier.
I love that
It's,
cover.
It's a beach. It's like 2 flip-flops, and they're different colors. I don't know why. Anyways, love that cover.
It's very different.
Yeah, it's different. My favorite book is always the one I've just finished and don't have to ever look at again. So that currently is The Family You Make. I did love that book. It's different. It starts out really adventurous. 2 people stuck on a gondola that they know is going to go down, and they think they're going to die, and they tell each other things they shouldn't, and then they don't die. What was the other question?
Character.
I think it would probably be Sawyer Thompson from Head Over Heels. He's just really sexy, that's all. No other reason.
This is always such a hard question for me to answer, because
I know.
my favorite book, like Jill, is the one I'm finished with. The one I'm working on is always my least favorite ever, but then I'm finished with it and I'm like, oh, I love that book. That one worked. But I really liked my book, The Path of Sunshine Cove, the cover of that one. It just made me want to just be there whenever I looked at that cover. I liked that story too, and I loved this book that just came out this summer at the Cape. So that would probably be favorite book. As far as characters, I am oddly drawn to the old men that I write about. I just love them. They're just so sweet and adorable, and I wish I had them in my life. Maybe because I don't have my grandparents anymore. I don't have my dad. And we had some dear neighbors that were older men, and I just adored them and loved feeding them and anything I could do with them. So I loved. I have a character named Dermot Kane, and I love him. He was in my Hopes Crossing series. And then Harry Lang, who was another old grouchy man in one of my series. Love that book.
My favorite cover would have to be the book that just came out in April. It is Summer on the Island. What I love about it is a beach scene, which you've seen a lot of beach scenes, but there's something about the way the wind is blowing that blanket and the way she's looking out to sea, that it's the motion in it. I love the motion in that cover. So every time I look at it, I just feel like I'm there staring out at the sea, and it makes me very introspective. And so I love that cover. As far as favorite character, it'd probably have to be Dylan Amos from my Whiskey Creek series. He walked on when he was totally unexpected, stole the show. I still have people writing me going, what happened to Joe? Like, what do you mean Dylan walked on? And he had a whole family that he raised because his father went to prison and his mother died, and it's all tied up. But anyway, he was very young and he had to take on these younger brothers. I just loved his gumption and his determination. And even though he was imperfect in the way he raised them, how much he loved them, how fiercely, and how they turned out because of it. So I love him as a character. And so I did favorite book would be This Heart of Mine. Something about that book, I don't know, it just makes me cry when I think of it. And when I was brainstorming it, I was in an airplane flying out to meet my publisher, and I had tears rolling down my face, and my poor seatmate's like, "Are you okay?" I did not dare tell them I'm only imagining a book.
You can hold it because I'll go with you next. But I do that when I'll be writing, and Alan will come in, my husband, and he'll see me all weepy at the computer, and he'll think something's wrong, and I'm like, no, these people are torturing me. That's what's wrong. There's something going on there. So the next question will be, I am a complete and total pantser, so I come up, like a little scene will pop into my head, and I just start writing, and then the characters tell me what they want to happen next, and so I never know. But I'm always curious because I know Nancy and I do it total opposite. So we'll start with Brenda about, are you a pantser, a plotter, somewhere in between?
I am definitely a pantser. I start with the conflict. I know what my conflict is, and I build everything around it, kind of like an oyster would do their pearl. They get that little sand, and they just build everything around it. And I'm also very easily bored. So if I know what's going to happen in the future, there's no emotional tension in my story because I'm bored. I don't even want to be writing it. So I have to be surprised every day, right along with, the story and seeing where my characters are going to go. And the weird thing is it doesn't cause as much rewriting as you would anticipate. I went to a convention where a big-name male author got up and told the whole convention, you can't write a good book unless you plot. And I'm thinking, I'm sliding down lower and lower, going, I can't do it, I can't plot. But I think that somehow your subconscious launches out ahead of your conscious mind, because after 70 books, it really has caused me very little rewriting. So I think that, but that's where writer's block comes in for me. It shuts it off really fast if I'm going down the wrong way. I suddenly can't continue. My story's lost all its emotional tension. And if I back up a little, it's just usually maybe even a few pages or a scene, and then I'm able to launch out somewhere else.
And I'm totally the opposite, because I totally panic if I don't know what's coming next. And so I have to plot very intensely. Jill helps me plot sometimes. We get together and do that. I like to know what's coming next, and that helps me sort of keep a framework. But again, everything always changes. There's nothing that is exactly the way it was when I started out, because the characters want to tell their stories. They want to be them, and I have to kind of go with that sometimes. But I hate sitting down and not knowing what comes next. That just is such a panicky feeling for me. And so obviously my subconscious does a lot of the work in the background too, but I like at least knowing what I'm writing the next day, even if I'm not exactly sure when I sit down what's going to happen.
Exactly that, which is why we plot together a lot. I just have to have a roadmap. I don't have to necessarily follow it, but it's the comfort for me of just having it. And I find that I do much better if I think I know what comes next. I often change it up, take a left turn when I should have gone right. And I'm not tied to that, but when I do plot, it's almost a first draft for me. So I do feel like I'm still telling myself the story. We all have our own way. It's almost always different than anybody else.
It's always interesting, though, to hear how people do it. I'm like you. I start with a scene, like one entire scene, and it's usually full of conflict.
Yep.
And then I write that one scene, and sometimes it's the end of the book, and sometimes it's the middle of the book, sometimes it's the front. I don't really know. I write the one scene, and then I interview the characters. Like, why are you guys having this disagreement? Like, what's going on? Why is this a problem? And then once I start interviewing them, from their childhood onward, I can figure out why that conflict resonates with them so strongly. And then that becomes the plot for me, right, is this character interview. And then after that, the whole rest of the story starts to work. But I don't know what I'm writing the end of the day. I don't know what I'm writing the next day. And it's almost like channeling, because I'm reading what I'm typing, and then I'll be like, oh, that went out. Sometimes, like, what I'm thinking in my head is not what comes out on the screen. And then I'm like, oh, wait, what was that? And then, sometimes I'll be like, holy crap, you just said that, or you just did that, or, whatever. And one time my son had his friend over, and I'm like going, no way, what just happened? What's going on? And his friend's like, dude, is your mom all right?
No, she's a writer.
And he goes, she's just talking to her book again. That's what he said. Like, she's just talking to her book again. And they're just so used to it, you know. But that's just for me. It's just I don't know what's going on. And if I try to say tomorrow, you know, I want to get started. I'm going to write this scene. It's going to be this. Forget it. I'll waste the whole day. I'll just sit there and stare at the cursor blinking and going, well, I'm bored already because I know what's going to happen. I need to not know what's going to happen.
Yeah. That's like Brenda said, yeah, I'll get bored. If I try to plot it out, then I feel like it's already been told. So, but unlike you, when I get that scene, it's always the beginning of the book. I know Nancy does stuff all over the place and then puts it together like a puzzle. But yeah, I have to start at the beginning and work my way back. But that's always the first scene that comes to me. And it's almost always hero-centric. So, because I like the guys more than the gals.
Oh, yeah, they're nicer.
Yeah.
I tell everyone on this question, I've been asked it several times, I try to plot at least 3 chapters. And plotting a whole chapter to me is 2 sentences. Mm-hmm. It's nothing big. It's just so-and-so did this on this chapter. But then it's kind of like a jet airplane. I am the pilot. I have a whole airplane full of characters. And about 2 chapters in, they hijack the plane. And we go on this adventure. And that's the way I write. My characters tell me, they wake me up at night and tell me if I wrote something wrong. Yeah. And I get up in the morning and I fix it, just like they said. But I have a plaque on my wall right in front of me when I'm working. It says, I know the characters in my head are not real, but they have such wonderful ideas. Yeah. So that's the way I write. I think I must be a pantster.
I think that's what, yeah.
You think I am?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. Well, I think that's what I am.
A little schizophrenic too, but yeah, pants.
Schizophrenic is a mild word for what I am.
It's totally underrated.
Yeah. Somebody called me a redneck one time. My brother-in-law, as a matter of fact, he said he didn't know rednecks ate mushrooms. And I said, oh, brother, you have totally offended me. You have offended me. You have hurt my feelings. I am not a redneck. I'm pure white trash.
Yes.
And so that's the way I write, too, just like I talk.
I would like it if y'all would send me some of those people that tell y'all stuff.
Yes.
So I do plot everything, and I have all, a little paragraph for all my scenes. But I do let myself write anywhere in the book. You know, if it's, I need something happy and I'm feeling elated that day, then that's what I work on. And if I'm feeling sad, I jump over here and write something that I know needs something a little darker or weepy or whatever. And so, and I told Lori, sometimes I'll be like, oh, I'm doing so good. I'm feeling like I'm almost done. And I'm like, there's like 3 scenes in the middle I never even touched. And so I kind of have to go back. But I always kind of have the ins and outs of each of those scenes so that it all does eventually hook together. But I do like spaghetti. Just zip around wherever the noodles take me.
So the only lesson there is, if anyone's going to be a writer, you got to find your way that works for you and do it your way, because all different ways work. And I think we're going to wrap it up there, because I think I've asked everything I know to ask, and I don't want to sit here and look dumb. So, all right, thank you, everyone.